Good evening, I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor. It's currently 7 o'clock on Wednesday, April the 22nd. I want to do today's daily recap of events that affect the way you get, protect, and enjoy your money, life, and retirement. And today, we're going to flip a coin. That's the question of the day. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But as we start out every day right now, what's going on with the COVID situation? Current COVID cases confirmed in the U.S. are over 840,000 right now. Current deaths are over 46,000 right now in just 3 months. Little bright news, you've had 77,000 people that actually recovered. After they were diagnosed, that 77,000 people actually recovered of that 840 that actually were confirmed cases. That's a recovery rate of about 9% right now, the total cases. New York State still leads the way, with 263,000 cases. 19.4 thousand deaths so far. 15,000 of those are in New York City by itself. New Jersey's coming in at number 2 again. They're not going to go too far from there. 95,000 cases. Over 5,000 deaths. The numbers keep growing every day. The death rate is starting to slow a little bit in the New York area, which is nice. But it's just a very, very small nice in the midst of what's going on. Again, I want to remember that each one of these cases is somebody's personal tragedy. Somebody's father, somebody's mother, somebody's brother or sister. And again, this is getting people at old ages. They've had an infant die, and they've got people in their senior citizens that are dying in their 60s and 70s and 80s. So it doesn't discriminate. It's out there. It's going to get everybody. Social distance, very, very important. That's the only thing that's holding us down right now, is the social distancing and people that wear a mask. And it's important to understand that that mask is really important. You don't change your behavior to avoid infection. You just sort of assume you're already infected and you change your behavior to avoid transmission. Because what happens is when you cough, it can travel 6, 8, 10, 12 feet. Not a problem at all. That's well documented. But again, New England Journal of Medicine has done a recent study, and just speaking, just the act of speaking, little droplets can come from your mouth and travel 2 to 3 feet. Wear a mask. Wear a mask. Now, they're starting to do some autopsies on some people that had passed on before. And they're finding right now, on the West Coast anyway, that some of the first coronavirus cases occurred in early February, which was weeks earlier than they ever thought. These cases were just diagnosed. They thought somebody had just the flu, or they just had pneumonia. Now they're doing some autopsies. The results are coming back in, and they're finding that these people died, and it was from COVID. And it was easy 2 to 3 weeks before they ever thought they had their first COVID death. So that's not really a bright spot, because there could be a number of more deaths that haven't really been counted in the numbers just yet. Now, the nursing homes are still taking the brunt of this big, big time. It's an older population. They're just ripe with problems. There's almost no way around that at this point. I've seen reports about residents and or staff dying from COVID in nursing homes and long-term care facilities in Illinois, Louisiana, Georgia, New York, New Jersey, Maine, Indiana, Washington State. I'm sure there's others out there. And the total number of deaths in nursing homes and long-term care facilities right now is well over 10,000. 10,000 deaths in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. And that's according to the Wall Street Journal. They just reported that earlier today. Now, if you get COVID, you got about a 20% chance of getting hospitalized. If you get COVID, you get about a 10% chance of ending up in an ICU, which for most intents and purposes means you're going to end up on a ventilator. And the rates on that are not real happy. Again, they don't have a good treatment right now. They have no way of curing COVID if you get it. So the treatments are still very experimental at this point in time, and nothing's been really standardized. Healthcare workers continue. Again, of all the reported cases of COVID, 10 to 20% of those people are healthcare workers. the doctors and nurses, respiratory therapists, nursing home health aides, as well as the janitors and the hospital staff. These people are all exposed every day. The next group getting hit in large numbers are the store clerks, okay, especially in places that have high COVID counts. Okay, they go in there every day, they stock in shelves, they check out the register, and they're reporting very easily that people are not social distancing and people are not wearing masks. It's causing a problem for the store clerks. The store clerks are not notoriously known for having PPE. It's hard enough getting it to the hospital people. But if you're a store clerk or you're working a register, that's pretty important. And they're not quite really getting all that material that they need to protect themselves. Now, the next group is the transit workers, especially in New York City. They're dying at a rapid rate, almost twice the number of transit workers than New York City Fire and Police Department people. Bus drivers in all areas are getting hit because, again, you got one bus driver there and everybody walks past the bus driver getting onto the bus, getting off the bus for their entire route for their 6-8 hour shift. They're exposed, and these people are dying also because, again, people are not wearing masks. Postal workers along with UPS, FedEx, and Amazon delivery people are getting affected by COVID. They deal with a number of packages that have been handled along the chain, and you don't know what you're going to get. You just don't know. Right now, okay, there are currently reported cases on 26 naval ships, naval warships, 26 naval warships, okay, have reported cases of COVID. Another 14 have been hit by the virus, but the crews actually recovered from those 14 ships, and that's according to a senior naval official. Okay. Now, currently, 90 ships at sea, no reported cases of COVID, and the U.S. has currently 297 ships on active duty. But as of Wednesday morning, over 3,500 U.S. service members have been tested positive for COVID, and that includes two deaths. Nearly 800 of those cases have come from the outbreak aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt, the aircraft carrier where one soldier actually died. So this is affecting a lot of people. Now, there are COVID outbreaks at dozens of meatpacking plants across the nation, and it's much farther extended than was previously thought. I reported a couple cases before, about a week ago, started in South Dakota, and then 3 or 4 states. Okay, it's even worse than that. Okay, right now, the rates of infection around these plants are higher than 75% of the other countries, the counties in the U.S. So if you're working on one of these plants, you're not a happy camper, and the chances are you're going to get infected. The numbers are really staggering. They really are. Yesterday, there were reported infections of at least 2,200 workers at 48 plants. This affects your food chain. It really does, because you can't process this stuff. They get meat and chickens in, but they can't process because the plants are shut down. They're sick. If they were open, okay, then you've got a delivery problem, okay, and then you've got a staffing problem at the supermarkets. Okay, this is starting to affect things, and you can also see it if you happen to go out shopping. Okay, my wife went out today. She goes out about once a week right now. She's got her mask on, okay, and she really intent on social distancing. But she's reporting, before it was just the box stores, the Costco's, the Walmarts, the Sam's stores, okay, that had a lot of empty shelves. But you could always get stuff at smaller stores. Well, now the smaller chain stores are starting to have some empty shelves. Okay. It's going to be a problem. This is not quite finished yet by a lot. Now, I know that the country is hands down tired of being shut down. Families as well as individuals, thousands and thousands of small businesses are feeling a serious financial strain right now. There's a big push to open up, lots of the country, primarily coming from the president and inside the office of, the safety of his office. And it's compounded by the talking heads on cable TV. Now, today just broke some new investigative reporting that the ties to the small number of active protests that are out there, okay, they're actually being spurred on, sometimes actually orchestrated by the right-wing puppeteers and the large donors. We talked about the puppeteers last week before I even knew what was going on. But you can tell. You can tell if you've been doing this stuff long enough. Now, the governor's talking about reopening, even if they don't meet the recommendations that were put out by the president and the White House and the president's coronavirus staff. Okay? He has a task force. They made recommendations. The president concurred with those recommendations, made the briefing at the White House, announced these recommendations. They wanted a 2-week downtrend in cases before lifting any measures, and then only phase things in. Well, right now, Governor Brian Kemp, okay, is just blowing right ahead, open up Georgia, okay. And lo and behold, the same day he's announcing plans to ease up business restrictions is the same day that Georgia announced the highest one-day death rate for COVID cases since April 1. Georgia routinely averages about 764 new cases a day and 35 deaths per day. Right now, the state reported 909 cases and 85 new deaths on Monday when Kemp announced the plans to ease up on the restrictions. Now, according to a local paper, those hospitalized with the virus statewide are 818. That's 21% of all the known cases, and that's not the national news making this up. This is a local Georgia paper who knows what's going on in their state. 21% of all the known cases. Okay? It's a lot. Now, other states are planning to try and reopen early. South Carolina, Tennessee, Alaska, and some parts of Florida. As the governors want to open those things, okay, they're trying really hard. Don't know exactly why. My guess is there's some political motivation to that. But even while they're trying to open those things, the local mayors in those states think it's too early. And they're telling them it's too early. Because the number of cases has not dropped. The number of death cases have not dropped enough. And the president has serious credibility problems when even in a red state like Florida, recent poll came out, 72% of seniors in Florida want to extend the stay-at-home order until May. They're in no rush. They understand what's happening. They've got a few years on them. They understand what goes on. They've seen this before. Now, testing is key to any safe opening. Okay, and the actual testing is really, it's been lacking. It continues to be lacking. Okay, the president says one thing in the White House in the briefings. However, the actual truth is coming out of the mouths of every Republican and Democratic governor. They can't get the testing materials and the supplies to do the tests. It doesn't matter if the president says, oh, all these tests are available. Well, they're not. The people who do the testing, they know they don't have the materials. They don't have the swabs. They don't have the reagents. They can't get the testing done. And the problem continues to be the nepotism and cronyism that surrounds the president. And his continued refusal to appropriately use the Defense Production Act to secure the manufacturing chain, okay, and the supply line for distribution that's needed to get the test under one centralized person. It would be nice if you had a military person doing that, but he's never going to let that kind of control out there. He wants to run a one-man show. Okay, it's 3 sections of the government: the executive branch, the judicial branch, okay, and the Congress. Okay, each one has equal weight, and there's oversight from one to the other. President doesn't like any oversight. Again, it's not particularly his fault. Okay, understand, the guy has run his own companies for years, his entire life. He's never run a public company. So for his entire life, okay, from when he was a kid, and his father did the same thing, didn't run a public company, he had his way. And his way was the way. Well, now he's president. And lo and behold, The Republican, okay, Senate committee on the security, okay, confirmed today that yes, okay, Russia interfered with the election, and yes, Russia tilted it towards President Trump. That was the Republican committee. Republican chair. They agreed with everything that was said by the intelligence people. Yes, the Russians interfered with the elections. Yes, the Russians wanted President Trump to be elected. Okay. Now, when you've got that kind of situation where he's just one-sided thing, he can't see past anything, he doesn't do any oversight, he does his own oversight, he doesn't want anybody else looking over his shoulder. Okay. That doesn't really work too well in a democracy, and that's the problem right now. And that's why he refuses to use the Defense Production Act. He just refuses to, because it wouldn't be under his control. And as you can see, he keeps letting go of watchdogs and inspector generals that would have anything to say with him, that would oversee what he does. And these are career people that have been in office, okay, in their jobs for 10, 20, 30 years, through many administrations, both Republican and Democrats. But you need strong, okay, independent watchdogs. Those inspector generals are the key to keeping things semi-honest, at least. And he's constantly chipping away at their authority. Now, if the markets are still bouncing around, 500 points up, 500 points down, nothing really remotely settled because there's no consistent messaging coming out of the White House. He says one thing one day, says something else the next day. Okay. Until this thing gets settled, the market's going to continue to bounce up and down. They're not really bottomed out yet because this whole thing hasn't finished up. And there is not going to be any quick V, okay? There's not going to be a flip of the switch and everything's back to normal. There's going to be a new normal, and it's not going to be anything that you thought it was. If normal was normal for you in January, that's not coming back. Understand that it's just not coming back. It's not going to be possible. Okay? Things have changed. They've fundamentally changed. And sometime a year, 2 years from now, after they get a virus, maybe we get close to back to what it was in January. But I don't think so. Now, there's still a lot of oil in the market, and the producers have absolutely nowhere to store it. And that's why the oil markets went negative yesterday. They were paying people to take the oil because they couldn't store it. They're going to give you the oil and give you up to $40 a barrel to take it. Okay, who the hell doesn't know what's happening with that? Okay, there's still a lot of people that didn't get their checks or their deposits from the IRS. I'm going to post a link to the IRS site where you can check on your stuff. You can check on your deposit, see what's going on. I'll post that when I post the video on YouTube tomorrow. Now, for the question of the day, are we going to flip a coin? Do we open? Do we not open? Just flip a coin. Who knows? Okay, you've got people on both sides of this. The politics and the economy say one thing. The facts on the ground and the healthcare professionals say something totally different. And the real basic question is, even beyond whether you open or not, if they open, who really feels safe enough or confident enough to go back into those establishments when people are still not social distancing and still not wearing masks? I mean, they're not doing it now to contain the virus. Now you're going to open things up. People think everything's happy. Okay. How many more people are not going to be social distancing and are not wearing masks? That's really something to think about. Or do you feel safe doing those things? If there's no second outbreak, hey, that's great. Although that's not exactly what South Korea is seeing right now. If there is a second outbreak, what then? How many more lives are lost? What does the economy do then? Okay. We need to try and figure this out, because there won't be a vaccine for at least another 12 to 18 months. And there's certainly no definitive treatment right now that's been proven to work. They got a lot of trial drugs out there, but they need time to test them all to see what's happening. The drug that the president was pushing a couple weeks ago, that's going nowhere really, really fast. They did some studies on that, and it's not working out at all well. Okay, but they've got a couple other things in the mix that might work. Okay, but it takes time to test these things. So as of today, there's still no definitive test. There's still no definitive treatment. Okay, and back to the testing, Roche Labs said there's at least 100 tests out there. They're supposed to test you for antibodies. They're completely trashed. They're worthless. Okay, so the testing isn't even standardized at this point in time. So you don't know, even if you could get a test, if the test's accurate at this point in time. You need to go to the major labs to get a real test. Now, people are still hurting out there. They're wondering how they're going to survive, how they're going to recover, and possibly thrive when they come out of this on the other side. I'm just letting you know, I'm doing a live training tomorrow at noontime Eastern, where I'll show you what I've done to help clients over 30 years now that have had personal financial problems that were brought on by pandemics, wars, natural disasters, and market crashes. And I'll be sharing on that live training what I've shared with them to get them through things, for them to survive, how to recover, and actually thrive. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. If you want some information on that program, it's called Recovery. Okay, you go to my site, drrousenow.com/recovery, take a peek at that, and see if you're interested in joining or not. Okay. I'll be posting this video tomorrow on YouTube. I'll have a link to get to the IRS site to check your stimulus payment, which is really important. You want whatever money the government has for you. The bill for this at some point in time is going to be interesting, but that's a discussion for another day. You know, I appreciate you being with me. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. My only goal is to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and again, I appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.